close the night out right. Panel at the table in that half-dead light. Miss Robin in the middle, calling every shot, directing and producing till the story runs hot. 1-1 from the city, badge heavy on his chest, towing that law like a wicked chain, spitting facts, no rest. Crimes after dark, we close the night out right. Tear through the lies till the wrong sounds like a fight. All of the answers buried so deep out of sight. We watch the threads unravel, we watch the threads ignite. JJ in the corner, state of the deep in his head. Which lies to toss and which ones to keep instead? Dago from the cafe says forget about it, leans back, spins his thoughts like a blade cutting holes in the track. Lee at the front, head advocate, steady stare, every word like a warning, every silence a dare. All of them leaning in, clock crawling, eyes bright. Every secret feels louder than the buzzing of the night. Crimes after dark, we close the night out right. Tear through the lies till the wrong sounds like a fight. All of the answers buried so deep out of sight. We watch the threads unravel, we watch the threads ignite. You can bury it in paper, you can lock it in a file, but the truth bleeds through, drip by drip, tile by tile. We're dragging it to daylight, name by name, line by line. If you wrote it in the shadows, we'll read it out this time. Yeah. Crimes after dark, we close the night out right. Tear through the lies till the wrong sounds like a fight. All of the answers buried so deep out of sight. We watch the threads unravel, we watch the threads ignite. What if the story isn't over? What if the answers were buried? What if we've been looking, but never seeing? Ancient footprints in forgotten stone, maps that charted worlds unknown, voices hidden in the desert sand, pages torn by unseen hands, broken temples, silent skies, questions buried beneath the lies. rise and pass on by, but shadows move behind the wall, and sometimes truth is strangest of all. Question everything. Question everything. The stories they tell, the things they conceal, the ones that won't heal, the secrets revealed. Question everything. Question everything. Through the darkness we ascend into devil's advocates beyond. Lost sacred text in hidden caves, words that survived 1,000 graves. Watchers staring from the stars, ancient lights on distant shores. Science finds what science knows, yet deeper currents still may flow. Signals buried in the noise, whispers underneath the void. A ghost in time, a fractured clue, a strange event nobody knew. The universe refuses chains, and every answer changes names. Question everything. Question everything. The books they burned, the truths erased, the missing years, the empty space. Question everything. Question everything. Follow wonder to the end, into devil's advocates beyond. Who built the monuments? Who crossed forgotten seas? What sleeps beneath the ocean floor? What moves between the trees? What if the myths remember what history forgot? What if the impossible is simply what we're not? Think for yourself. Fear no question. Fear no answer. The search is sacred. Question everything. Question everything. Ancient aliens, lost history, unexplained realities, and hidden mysteries. Question everything. Question everything. Never follow, never bend. Keep searching beyond the end. Question everything. Question everything. Where the curious transcend. Welcome to devil's advocates beyond. The mystery remains, and that's where the journey begins.
All right, everybody, welcome to A Crimes After Dark. Don't adjust your channel. That's the actual teaser for the other channel. We're good. We're good. You're probably like, what the fuck is this? This is not Crimes After Dark. It is still Crimes After Dark. Thank you for coming and checking out the new teaser, I can't even say it, teaser trailer for the other channel, which has been going for a little while. We're just getting it up and running over there, and we are going to make a few changes. I'm going to have one do a little bit of his monologue before we talk about all the different changes we got going on right now for the summer. Like, things are just kind of mixing up for the summer. So let's get our panel. We got a very, we're missing Dago, so I'm not sure where Dago True Crime Cafe is right now, but that's okay. We've got Robin and we've got One bringing him on. JJ's not going to be here tonight. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. How are you guys doing tonight?
Hey,
Yeah,
doing good.
excellent.
How about you guys?
I'm excited. I'm ready to get. I'm ready to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, giddy up.
Yeah, I have a new video coming out tomorrow that's members only right now about I intended it to be 100% about the Nancy Guthrie thing, but they mentioned Koberger in there, and then I saw too many Koberger connections, and I was like, damn it, I can't even do another case without bringing up Idaho 4 because it was in they literally mentioned Koberger in the middle of the freaking Nancy Guthrie thing. So, anyways, I'm gonna have that come out in the morning. If you remember, you can take a look at it now.
There's the blowtorch.
Yeah, that's some serious flameage on that one right there. Looks like you're muted. You're muted or something because I just saw your lips moving and nothing. Your lips are still moving, but nothing. Oh, nope.
Ruh-roh. And you're not muted on our end.
Backstage, we were all fine a minute ago. We were all talking.
Yeah.
Everything was fine.
The heck's going on there? Oops.
We'll get that ironed out. But thank you all for coming tonight. And we can put the chat back on the screen. Of course, that covers Robin's face now. So actually,
that's okay because when he comes back, it moves. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. So, anyways, I turned it off during the because I wanted everybody to see the bunny. I like that. I like the bunny rabbit on the other teaser trailer. So I was like, can't block the bunny.
Well done on that teaser. You did very well on that teaser.
Well, I mean, it's AI, but it was still cool, and the song was AI, but it was still cool. Like all of it really vibed together.
I think I muted myself by accident. Can you
hear
me?
Did.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, you can totally hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. I pressed the button on the Shure mic.
On
the
mic itself. Yeah, that's right. On the top, there's a mute button. You can hit. Yeah. It's a good mic when you don't hit mute yourself.
It is.
I've been there, done that.
It is.
All right, do you have a monologue for us? You're ready to go now that you got the cigar.
I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah. I'll get us started. So, is it good to be alive in the den on a Monday night?
Mm-hmm. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Jackson, Juliana, my beautiful wife, love you guys always. So, I have a little different kind of monologue than normal. Not too long, but it will basically segue into what our boss Lee wants to discuss. So here we go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Crimes After Dark. Tonight is a little different. For the past year, we've built something truly special together. What started as conversations surrounding the Idaho 4 case grew into something much bigger than any of us could have imagined. It became a community, a place where people from all walks of life could come together to ask questions, challenge assumptions, examine evidence, and engage in thoughtful discussions about some of the most compelling and complex cases of our time. In a world that often rushes to conclusions, this community has chosen a different path. You've chosen critical thinking over headlines, evidence over emotion, and honest discussion over echo chambers. Every live stream, every comment, every debate, every theory, and every late night conversation has helped shape what Crimes After Dark has become. And for that, we want to start tonight by simply saying thank you. Because none of this happens without you. Tonight, however, isn't just about reflecting on where we've been. It's about talking about where we're going. Over the past several months, we've spent a great deal of time evaluating the future of this channel, listening to your feedback, looking at what works, identifying opportunities for growth, and asking ourselves an important question. How do we continue building something meaningful while staying true to the mission that brought us all together in the first place? Tonight, we're excited to share the answer. We're going to discuss some major updates, new content, new programming, and the next phase of Crimes After Dark. We'll talk about where the channel is headed, what you can expect moving forward, and some exciting projects we've been working on behind the scenes. Now, let me be absolutely clear about something. Our commitment to the Idaho 4 case remains as strong as ever. We will continue following developments, analyzing evidence, examining new information, and covering the case with the same dedication and integrity that you've come to expect from us. That isn't changing. What is changing is the scope of our coverage. There are other important cases, investigations, mysteries, and stories that deserve attention. There are unanswered questions that deserve examination and voices that deserve to be heard. As Crimes After Dark continues to grow, we're ready to expand our focus while maintaining the same standards that have always guided this community. This isn't a departure from who we are, it's an evolution of who we're becoming. Tonight we'll be sharing be sharing our vision for the future, answering your questions and discussing how all of these changes will help us create an even stronger and more engaging and more informative experience for everyone who calls this community home. Whether you've been here since day one or you've only recently discovered Crimes After Dark, we're grateful you're here tonight to be part of this next chapter. So settle in, get comfortable, and join the conversation. Because tonight isn't the end of anything. It's the beginning of something bigger. The future starts now. Question everything and follow the evidence. And with that, live from New York, it's Monday night.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, it's funny. One writes these monologues before I even see them, so I get them cold. I get them cold with them, and I'm like, oh wow, hey, that's pretty good. Well done. Very cool. Appreciate that. You could tell you're outside. I think I heard a horn honk on a car, maybe a dog whine. I don't know what's going on over there, but you are definitely in the outside. So. Yeah, thank you all for coming again tonight. It's kind of, we're going to have some open questions. I do have some things. I note just before we went live tonight, by the way, Amanda dropped a new legal document, I think it was 2 pages, but I think the second page is mostly just a signature. The lawsuit against WSU, the Gonzalez family and others has been moved into a U.S. district court, moved out of the state and into a U.S. district court. I find that stunning. Wow. That means something's changed and there's some federal issue involved in this. What are possible federal issues? Well, if somebody's somebody's United States civil liberties have been violated, that becomes a federal issue. The fact that the state, now I'm not saying it's why, but that's one of the reasons why the case could have moved from Washington state to the federal district court. Something has changed and there is an issue that has decided that it was more appropriate for this to be a federal case than the state case. And I find that really, really, really freaking interesting. Holy shit. Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's a simple answer and I'm going to look like an idiot at the end of the day, but I'm telling you that the bombshell of it moving to a U.S. district court seems like, and they've changed the case number as well on it. So the whole case number on it changes. If you've been following the WSU lawsuit, the case number has changed. It now has a U.S. district court case number on it. So, wow. That's nuts. Look, there's other reasons.
Trial.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping. Maybe it is.
So a lot of times it's the defendant, and in this case, the defendant is WSU, right? So a lot of times it's the defendant who can petition to move it to a federal case, which would suggest, and again, maybe I'm too early on this, that WSU has asked to move this to a federal case. So it makes you wonder what's going on. But something has prompted, either because something related to it has become a civil liberties issue, or because something has prompted this to be moved into the federal courts, and that is enormous. That bird, I'm telling you what. I thought you had a soundboard going on. Pretty bird. Yeah, he's fucking happy out there. Anyways, I think that's a huge move. I don't know who's talked about it today. If anybody in our chat, by the way, happens to know the answer, I would love to have you guys tell me. Either come on stage with us and let us know what you've heard, or type it in the chat. Do you know why the WSU case is moving into the U.S. District Court? I'm really, really curious what prompted that, because I just saw the announcement and I do not know why. And
Amanda just posted. She just said there's another document too, but she wasn't able to get it yet.
Yeah, Mark and Betty's got the World Cup on and watching our show as well. That's dedication, because I mean I know there's rabid soccer fans, or what do we call it? Football in Europe, right? It's football, but it means something different for us in the U.S. and Euro football. But yeah, that's a big deal. Soccer World Cup is a huge deal. I saw.
Oh yes! Oh my God!
Highlights. Yeah,
I've been dealing with that at work.
Yeah, New York is getting crushed.
It's been nuts.
Oh yeah, it's funny because
Well,
it didn't used to be so big in the U.S., but soccer is becoming a major thing in the U.S. as well. So it kind of was a little lag behind. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I hope maybe if
yeah, people
Kathy's
asking.
Indie
Yeah,
Zone
yes.
comes in, maybe we could get her up on panel. She may know what's going on with that because you know her. So if she wanders in, maybe she'll come up on panel with us.
So we got one person with the World Cup on. We got another people with the College World Series on. We're competing with some big shit right now. So thank you for sharing your evening with as well. That bird, I'm gonna go out and smack that bird. Carolina won the Stanley Cup. Really? Is the Stanley Cup over now?
Wow.
I just saw that it was starting. I didn't even know that was against Vegas, and so it was it Carolina versus Vegas? I knew Vegas was in it, but it's football, Lee. Yeah, I know. The World Cup is football. It's just American to try to redefine what football means. But anyways, does federal make it easier to hide things from the public? I don't think that's the reason for it. But to be fair, a lot of times state cases can be televised. They're more open to the public. Federal cases oftentimes are not televised. So in some regards, the federal case could become less open to the public. So yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. I don't think that's the purpose for it, but Nene Gallegos says that's a huge cigar 1-1. Oh, I thank you. I pretty proud of it myself.
Yeah.
What else do we got? Everyone with their other stuff on and got headphones on. And
Iron Man.
What did Iron Man say?
Oh, so before I forget that sizzle reel.
Yeah,
I'm assuming because I didn't really get to talk to Robin about it. Robin, you made that, right? Or
no, that was
Lee made it.
Yeah.
Oh, Lee, it was excellent.
Lee. That was all.
That was really. It was very well done. Very well done.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, to be fair, it wasn't like it's not the level that Robin puts together in a sizzle one. It doesn't have any of us in it, right? But
that's okay. But it was great.
I didn't splice together scenes. I just gave it a prompt and I told it what I wanted to see in there, and it did really well. It did really well.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it. Pretty good, yeah, for just a quick and dirty. Everybody likes
no, I don't have whiskey right now. I have my giant coffee mug.
Nice. So yeah, I was so like I said, I've got a video coming out tomorrow about the and I don't know whether to talk about it here because the video is coming out tomorrow, but here's the thing. So let's talk about those changes. That's a good segue for changes.
Sure.
So some of the changes, here's the thing. We have struggled a long time. I have really, really struggled as the captain of the ship, if you will, at Devil's Advocates on trying to do other cases that are hugely important. But I have been trained more than anything that I can't talk about anything but Idaho 4 or the channel dies. And Robin, as my co-producer and business associate, it's like, you need to just take your lumps for a while and suffer with a little bit of lower numbers when you talk about something else, because in the long run, it's going to teach people that we're not just a one-trick pony with Idaho 4. And I think we're embracing that now. I really want you to expect to see a lot more stuff coming out that is about other cases that I'm watching and that I'm following. My hope is that you'll resonate with us and our mission and not just the case. Because again, it's depressing to think that the only reason you turn on this show is because we're talking about Idaho 4. And if we stop talking about Idaho 4, you leave. That would be depressing, but I don't think that's the case. I think we've got a lot of people who are real solid, the level of detail that we put into things and the stuff we talk about. And we have a lot more thoughts that we just kind of been holding back a little bit because, again, every time we start talking about anything other than Idaho 4, it's where things go to die. I've teased about that for a long time, but we're going to make a commitment to moving into some of these other cases. We will not abandon Idaho 4, but what I said the other night was true. The other night when JJ and I had a kind of an on-screen discussion about it, what I said was, I don't want to be the channel that has to come up with some new bombshell every single night in Idaho 4 so I can stay relevant in Idaho 4. There's just not a bomb every night. Although here we started out with a bomb. Here we started with a bomb about the case moving to the federal, but that is a bomb. That's legit. Like that's straight up legit. Moving to the federal court is a legit bomb, but not every night is there a bomb. So I don't want to be that kind of show where we have to try to come up with some way to make the same thing be interesting every single night. What was that comment? I just missed the comment. I was
It
interested in
says she's
oh, oh yeah.
Moonflower Laws has said she's most interested in the girl that fell 17 stories in Austin. I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah.
See, that's what we mean, folks. You guys are always bringing us these interesting cases, and we love it. There is so much to explore, and so much that fits in with the mission of this channel. Because our mission is to bring to light injustice and to spotlight corruption, and that goes along with so many different cases. So that where it's at.
So
That's
let's
let's
dive in.
that.
So you and I
Yeah.
both hadn't heard. You and I both hadn't heard about this girl falling. Here's what I think they're talking about. I just did a quick search. I believe you're referring
Okay.
to Brianna Marie Aguilera, a 19-year-old Texas A&M student who died after falling from the 17th floor apartment balcony in Austin, Texas on November 29th, 2025, following the Texas A&M Texas football rivalry weekend. Aguilera had attended a tailgate party before the football game and later went to the 21 Rio apartment building near the University of Texas campus. Around 12:45 a.m., she fell from a 17th floor balcony and was pronounced dead at the scene. Austin police investigated the case and publicly stated they found no evidence of a homicide or other criminal activity. Investigators cited witness statements, surveillance footage, and phone records and digital evidence. But in February of 2026, the Travis County medical examiner ruled the death a suicide because of blunt force trauma from the fall, and the report stated there was no indication another person was involved. Her family strongly disputes that conclusion. They have argued that the investigation was incomplete and have pointed to witness accounts, alleged inconsistencies in the timeline, and other unanswered questions. The parents have filed a wrongful death suit seeking $1 million, alleging that she was illegally served alcohol while underage at a tailgate party, and that authorities mishandled aspects of the investigation. It's become highly controversial online because there's a significant gap between the official findings and what the family believes happened. And this sounds a lot like Noah Pressgrove, right? Noah Pressgrove, they ruled it a certain way, but the family filed a wrongful death suit saying bullshit, that was a murder. And oh no, that was an accident. Nope, it's murder. So another interesting case, which immediately brings to mind the whole Noah Pressgrove thing, or the family saying, nope, wrongful death, even though you ruled it a certain way. So yeah. Thank you for sharing that idea. We'll take a peek at that and see what we'll see. What I want to, for myself, what do I look at when I look at a case like that? What I look at is, does the family have merits? Let's listen to the family, because I'm totally on board with the idea that maybe they didn't do their proper investigation. So what does the family have? Is it pure speculation, or does the family have real receipts to bring a wrongful death suit up? So I would love to look into that, and I'll keep it on my list to take a peek at and let you know what I find out in the next day or two. It's not sustainable to only cover one case in the long haul. Thank you, Bunny Murphy. I kind of agree. I kind of agree, but I've been reluctant to really push other, like, I'll try Delphi. I thought Delphi was a monster case. I think Delphi, the Richard Allen and is a and get the poll out. Yeah. I thought Delphi is still a monster case. I think if he wins,
it is.
It's going to be all people are talking about. If he wins the right to an appeal or a retrial, that case is going to become monster.
Did you hear about Rex? That I guess his ex-wife, right? No, she is not attending any of the hearings.
Yeah, she's not going to attend the sentencing and stuff.
I was going to say, what other hearings are there left? He pled guilty, and the sentencing is. So she's just not going to come to the sentencing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His ex, as in Oscar, or his
Oscar.
Okay, right. They have a first. I think he might have had a first wife, didn't he? Okay.
Yeah, his second wife, Oscar.
Sentencing? Interesting. No, I didn't hear. No, I didn't hear that. Another big news, by the way. And by the way, we can talk Idaho 4, so don't think that what we just said, everything. What you didn't. Hopefully, you didn't translate is what I just said is we can't talk about Idaho 4. We certainly can. But another big news is Luigi Mangione tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow, is going to be in court in the state of New York His murder trial is set to begin September of this year. They are fast tracking going to the murder trial. And what's going to happen tomorrow in the public hearing? It's not going to be televised, from what I understand, but it is going to be public, meaning people can line up outside the courthouse and get in there and do reporting from inside. And thank you, Turkey Creek Gal, for becoming a YouTube member. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Great stuff. Anyways, I think Luigi Mangioni's, they're going to be talking about seating a jury. They're going to be talking about jury instructions. They're going to be talking about how to assure a fair trial. And look, he's got an uphill battle. Luigi Mangioni has an uphill battle to get a fair, I shouldn't say fair. And let me say this. I think he can get a fair trial. The question is, can he get an impartial? I don't think it's even remotely possible to get an impartial jury.
I
because
doubt
people have already made up their mind that he either was justified in what he did, or he's a son of a bitch that needs to die. And that's hard line. Like, people have strong opinions about Luigi Mangioni. So
I almost feel it's like impossible to get get a fair trial in anything these days, with just how quickly information travels with social media.
Well, look at these people these people, by the way, are really interested in this Texas falling case, right?
Yeah, we could definitely look it up.
Impossible to fall or jump from. So are you suggesting she was pushed off the balcony? You got so that was my first thought when it said the family is suing a wrongful death in part for underage drinking. Is the entirety of their case she was young and she was underage and she drank and someone allowed her to do so, and then she fell on her own negligence, but they're covering it up because she shouldn't have been drunk, she was underage? Is that the entirety, or do they actually think she was murdered? That's the real question. Did the family think she was pushed off the balcony? That's an interesting, really interesting thing. It's intriguing me right now. But Delphi is still a very important case. Thank you. We agree 100%. I believe. What's the date of? Is it coming? When is the date of his 3-panel jury? It's coming this month, isn't it?
I believe so.
Richard Allen supposed to be. Maybe he's already in front of it. Hold on. Let me take a peek.
I was just going to say, I was going to look. Okay.
All right, let's see how quick I can. I'm just trying to do as quick. Okay, here we go. September 24th. Everything's happening in fucking September. Richard Allen's direct appeal in Delphi is scheduled for oral arguments September 21st. Oral arguments before a 3-panel appellate judge. So what happens is, defense for Richard Allen has said he didn't get a fair trial. The prosecution said absolutely that was a fair trial. The appellate judge is three appellate judges they have already read both arguments. They've read the defense. This is why he didn't get a fair trial, Richard Allen. This is why he got railroaded and he needs to have a retrial, because the jury never got to hear important details. And they were very specific about what the jury didn't get to hear. The prosecution said, nope, they didn't get to hear those things because it wasn't relevant. And so that's kind of an oversummary of it. And believe me, the three panel judges on the appellate court have already read both the arguments. But what they're allowing to have happen in September is oral arguments. So I think it's about 20 minutes to 30 minutes. Each side will have a chance to present, what did we miss as judges? Like, we've read your argument. We already are ready to make a decision, but you tell us give us something that we didn't consider, and which most likely isn't going to happen. Most of the time, the judges already know how they're going to rule before they go to that hearing. They already have made up their mind, and it's oftentimes on the law, not on how you feel about it. But when you go in and the judges or the defense and the prosecution argue, it's going to be a lot of feeling. This shouldn't happen. Yes, they're going to bring law up, but it's going to be a lot. They're going to provide an emotional argument, in my opinion. The appellate judge has already made a decision on how the law should be interpreted, and then we'll see. So that should be coming up in September. Why did I say also September is a big thing? Well, because Luigi Mangioni is facing his murder trial in September. We've got Brian Koberger's post-conviction relief options seem to expire sometime right around in September. So he could be filing post-conviction relief. September could be the biggest month in true crime this year if for some reason. And look, you got the WSU case now moving into a federal court. So you've got the federal court at WSU. You've got, which is, I don't know if that's going to be probably lining up for September. You've got Koberger possibly filing post-conviction relief. And by the way, it doesn't escape the possibility to me that somebody might know Brian Colbert is going to file post-conviction relief. And if he does, in part, it could be a civil liberties violation. And if that's the case, that's going to become a federal issue. If there's a civil liberty, as a habeas corpus thing, it's going to be an issue about whether or not the state did something wrong, whether the federal government should have looked at it because of the civil liberties violations that they violated of his. If that happens, it's going to be a federal case. So, wow, September is going to be a monster month.
We better eat our Wheaties.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if Victoria will go to the sentencing hearing. Look, we're all over the map. So Victoria being Rex Sherman's daughter. So it sounds like you're saying Asa's not going to go to the sentencing. Will Victoria go to the sentencing? Really, there's not much going on in the sentencing hearing. So I'm not sure that they really need to be there. What's the point of going to watch? I'm not even sure what the point is for them to go to the sentencing. But it is interesting to see if that'll happen.
So this Brianna thing is pretty interesting, actually. I looked up some stuff on it. Yeah, while you guys were talking. It says, she was at, like you said, she was at a tailgate before Texas A&M versus Texas football game on November 28, 2025. Investigators said she became heavily intoxicated, was eventually asked to leave the tailgate. Later that night, she went to the 17th floor at the 21 Rio apartments near the University of Texas campus. Police say surveillance video showed her arriving at the apartment shortly after 11 p.m. A large group later left, leaving Aguilera and several other women in the apartment. She borrowed a phone to call her boyfriend because she had lost her own phone earlier in the evening. Witnesses reported hearing an argument during that call. The call ended minutes before a 911 call reported that she had fallen from the building. From real brief from the police investigation, investigators said in December 2025, she had a deleted digital suicide note on the phone, evidence that she had previously made suicidal comments to friends, text messages, and other evidence indicating thoughts of self-harm. But they found no evidence of foul play or criminal activity. But the mother is saying she showed no signs of suicidal stuff. But what's interesting too is that she also was seen. Where is it? I was just reading. It said that she also. Someone was saying that she also was seen going into the woods or something near. There's some wacky stuff with this case.
Yeah, you have my curiosity, sir.
Yes.
We're gonna look into that. Thank you so much for that. And by the way, I pinned briefly for a comment. Somebody said I think the Charlie Kirk or the Tyler Robinson case is going to be enormous. Yeah, Tyler Robinson. Look, that's another case that has enormous implications that they're going to decide. It's weird. They're literally deciding if there's enough evidence to go to trial. Wouldn't that be crazy for them to determine there's not enough evidence to go to trial? Like everybody thinks it's a foregone conclusion, right? The shooter did it. We saw him, right? It was a camera. Like what? So how could they? Because experts have determined that the bullet can't be matched to the gun that they say was used in the commission of the crime. And there's questions. There's questions that the shot didn't come from where they said it did, that there might have been a different shooter. And if they can't match the ballistics, now look, they're not saying they're not saying it can't have come from the gun. They're just saying they can't conclusively tie it to the gun. So I don't know that they have a case to say that there's not enough to go to trial. I think that would be a long shot, but it is what they're literally doing. They're literally making sure that there's enough evidence to go to trial. And by the way, out of all the judges and all the cases that I followed so far, Tony Graff, who's the judge in the Tyler Robinson case, I love that judge so far. I hope he doesn't disappoint me. If he does disappoint me, he's not getting a fucking Christmas card this year. I'm not going to fucking get a Christmas card this year. But so far, Tony Graff has been one of these guys that believes in transparency. He believes that the public has a right to know. He said, we absolutely will. Tyler Robinson will get a fair trial in my court. He seems to be like, hey, motherfuckers, we're not going to play games with this case. This is a high-profile case, and it will be transparent. People will see what's happening. I'll fight you on it if you try to hide everything, and he will get a fair trial. So go, Tony Graff. I'm 100% judge Tony Graff as being one of the good guys. We'll see. Maybe he's too young into his career to have been corrupted yet. That's kind of a cynical thing to say, but he's too young into the career to be corrupted yet. So let's see if he's one of the good guys.
Yeah, hopefully he stays that way.
Leah, Mark and Betty. Lee, do you think Brian's family are keeping him informed on the latest documents? For sure. Yeah, I would guess that's the case. You make a great point, because sometimes we ask the question in the Idaho 4 case, does Brian even know what's going on? Does he know about the book Broken Plea? Does he know about the hair that didn't get tested? Does he know about this? Does he know about Ann Taylor not following a lead or whatever? Does he know those things? And we ask those questions. But one thing we also seem to know is that Brian Kohberger talks to his family every single day, probably multiple times a day for long periods of time. So if they know it, he knows it. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there's been rumors that Kohberger wouldn't talk about his case to his family while it was ongoing. So they would talk about family stuff, about, his sister and his dog and stuff like that. They would just talk about things they wouldn't talk about the case. And maybe they don't talk about the case, but I'd be damn hard pressed to say that the family doesn't know what's going on in the public sentiment, and that isn't being mentioned. And again, they have to be super careful, because every phone call between the family is recorded by the prison system. They have no expectation of privacy. So when they're talking, when Kohberger's talking to his family, there's zero expectation of privacy. All of those phone calls are recorded. And look, here's the shitty thing about our system, in my opinion. I'm going to go on a small mini rant here. If they want to use your phone calls in prison against you, you damn well bet that's going to get leaked to the press, and we'll be out there and we'll get to hear every part they said. If they made anything that even remotely sounds like a confession, but if they say anything to their family insisting, I didn't do this, Mom, I didn't do it, that'll never be fucking played for you, ever. They're in total control. There's no expectation of privacy, and you only hear something if it upholds the conviction. So you won't hear if he's been begging his mom every day, why am I here? Why am I not out? You won't hear that. They'll never tell you that. But I'll bet you if he even slips for a moment and says, I don't know, maybe I did do it, that'll be fucking front page news, and new leaked phone call from the parents. I did it, I guess. That's the way that shit works.
I know, I'm sure people want us to address the Cy-Ray Turvey stuff that's going on, and what I'll say is we don't have the book yet, so I can't really make a particular a full answer to some of the stuff that's going on, because like I said, we don't have the book yet. When we read the book and we go over it, but what I will say, one of the things that is interesting, a few people have talked about, I find it, we've spoken before about, how all these guys have, a non-disclosure agreement, right? And if there's something illegal, does that violate the non-disclosure agreement? And I don't believe it does. However, there are a bunch of questions though. So like one of the questions I have definitely is like this Holland guy, right? That supposedly did a peer review, and he was brought on to kind of, Turvey said to look at, is he on the right path to evaluate certain things and whatnot. But my question is, but you signed a non-disclosure agreement. Like, did Holland sign a non-disclosure agreement? I wonder, right. I mean, we don't know. I mean, I know we don't know the answer. Like, was permission given by Ann Taylor for him to peer review anything? Like, you can't just do that. So it's interesting stuff.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit. People are talking about Lana scorched him. I didn't watch. I did hear from my team, because my team apparently has more time than I do. But here's what I'll tell you. I got a lot to say about Cy-Ray, so I'll try to summarize it. But I talk really fucking fast, so I can summarize it really, 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 really fast. All right. Here's the thing. We have heard from the very beginning, when Cy-Ray came on, it was the first time in his entire career that he's ever come out to testify on behalf of the defense. Always Cy-Ray has testified on behalf of the prosecution to put people away for crimes, and for the first time he's coming out in defense. That should say a lot. But I want to also state that I was reluctant from the very beginning. Cy-Ray wasn't saying Brian Kohberger didn't do it. He wasn't saying that. What he was saying was, and this was my take, that I know the prosecution is only telling a half truth about the cell phone data because I know how cell phone data works. It's my specialty. I wrote the fucking software. I teach classes on it. I know
Right.
timing advance records. What you are saying in this case that you have can't be true if you don't also have this, and you didn't show that. It's complicated. What he said was, I'm an expert in the field of timing advance records, and what you're showing in court is only half of the evidence. Where's the rest of it? And they said, we don't have it. He's like,
Yeah.
bullshit. I know you have it because you can't show what you showed
Mhm.
without having it. So that's real technical. And it's not a statement. It's not an opinion of Koberger's guilt or innocence. It's just, you lied. You're telling a
Yeah.
half truth. And that's what he was going
Right.
to testify with. Right.
Yeah,
So
I think that's the right. The big, I could tell you, I'm like, we didn't even get the book yet, but the big thing, I think, probably, you know, I know he's going on Custody Queens, I think in July or whatever it is, doing an interview. I think the big thing is that 246 time period where they're saying that that he turned off his phone. And I think, like, kind of what you just saying right there, I think that Cy Ray has the proof that Nick, like, they all know, So their expert is Nick Balance saying that he turned his phone off and he's lying. They know.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they know that he did not turn his phone off at that time. And
now here's
I don't
the
know,
tricky
Right.
part.
you know.
Here's the tricky part, and this is the part that's making Lana furious, and it's making a lot of us really furious about this, is behind closed doors, Cy Ray supposedly had said things to people like YouTubers, another YouTuber who I know did talk to Cy Ray because I saw Cy Ray on YouTube talk about him and says, Twiz, don't get me in trouble again talking. And some of the things that were said that Twiz was saying is like, look, Cy Ray doesn't even think Koberger was even in Moscow that night. And we were like, well, that's huge. Right. If Cy Ray doesn't think Koberger was in Moscow that night, then what the fuck are we doing? And why
Right.
isn't he allowed to talk? But now comes his book, and he's kind of dancing around the issue. He's like, you know, I originally thought Brian Koberger was guilty, but I looked at some things and some things aren't true. Now he's playing a half game, it seems like. And Lana from Truth and Transparency is losing her mind because it sounds like he's kind of back to saying, you know what, I think Koberger did it.
Yeah.
They may have lied about some key facts, but it really, at the end, they got the right guy. And that's like, really? Because that's not what we've been hearing for 3 years with he wasn't even in Moscow that night.
And the big
Right.
thing is, go ahead, Robin.
I was just going to say the other thing that bothers me is, you know, during that, especially that one hearing, Cy Ray was like, well, you know, I wrote all the software, and essentially was saying they didn't do it right.
Right.
They didn't do it right. They fudged it, and
Right.
everything else. That was the bottom line.
And I
of
want
his
to
history.
point out Grayson Mama's point. This is the thing. This is the same issue with Brent Turvey.
Yep.
When Brent Turvey was asked about things like the timeline, he was pretty pissy about it and said, I don't give a shit about the timeline. That's for you guys to all jerk off over. Like, literally, he was kind of really rude about it. And then I had to think about what he's saying. He's an expert hired to give an opinion about one thing and one thing only. And we're getting all mad because they're giving their opinions as to Brian Koberger's guilt or innocent, but that's not their job.
You're right.
They weren't hired to look at the entire case. They were only hired to look at a small piece. Yeah.
That's a huge Grayson mom. This is probably one of the major points. Like, no one is trying, no one's trying to discredit or bash Turvey or this guy or that expert. They've been involved in a million cases, and they're smart and they know what they're doing. But the big point, as what Lana's talking about, and Lee has brought it up here, where we brought it up here on our channel many times too. These experts, when they're brought in, as Lee just said, they're brought in for a very specific reason. No one's brought in, and so no one, like, Turvey's brought in, and it's not like, okay, here's all 60,000 files. Okay, here. That's not what happened.
Very small
he's
amount.
hired. Yeah. He's hired for a very, very specific part, and he doesn't see all the other stuff. And so that's what I've said probably a million times now. I respect that he's an expert and he recognizes crime scene manipulation and all that kind of stuff, and I get that. But for me, being in law enforcement, and for someone to say, the timeline doesn't matter, I have big issues with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And to be fair, like I said, he wasn't hired to talk about the timeline. So maybe he's just like, I'm not going to talk about the timeline because that's just opinion. And I wasn't hired to give my opinion about that. I was hired to, basically, he was hired really to talk about whether or not the knife sheath was planted. He further seemed to, on his analysis, say not only was the knife sheath planted, but there's clear evidence that the crime scene was staged, because he's kind of an expert in staged crime scenes. And that would lead a lot of people to immediately say, well, wait a minute, if the crime scene is staged, then it probably wasn't Kohberger. And he would probably argue, I didn't say it was or wasn't Kohberger. I'm just saying that there's evidence of staging. Kohberger could have staged it, or somebody, or maybe, and here's the part that's hard for people to understand, maybe law enforcement believed or knew, let's give them the benefit of that. They knew Brian Kohberger did it, but they knew they had a flimsy case. Maybe they staged some evidence to make it a stronger case because they knew they had the right guy, but they knew the evidence was weak. So let's just move something here or do something, and maybe we can make it fit because we know who did it and they're going to get away with it because they were smart. Like maybe it's something like that. He didn't give opinions as to whether, but here's the thing. I will tell you, Christopher Whitcomb, Turvey, I'm convinced whether they'll say it publicly anymore or not, because there seems to be a shift going on. They would tell you this: there's no way it was done by one person. I think they all know. They all know. That's what Brett Turvey's opinion was. It was done by multiple people using multiple weapons. So therefore, it can't be Brian Kohberger alone. Now, does that still leave the possibility it could be Brian Kohberger with others? I guess. But they're really, when you listen to what he says, the knife sheath was planted. The DNA was junk. They didn't have Brian Kohberger's DNA at the crime scene. That's a fabrication and a misrepresentation of what happened. Therefore, they really have nothing putting Kohberger at the house besides suspect vehicle 1, which also has been debunked by lots of people. The fog lights issue, the more this case goes on, the more you realize there's nothing that puts Brian Kohberger at the house. That's essentially what Bill Thompson said at the sentencing. Your Honor, this is going to be different than what the public's heard. We can't place him at the house. We can only place him near the house. What? Pinging off the cell tower that services the house at 1122 King Rose Res. That's your evidence that he did the murders, that he pinged off the cell towers that services the house at 112 or 1122.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This is a good point from Baby V. I just can't believe still to this day they're using the phrase "his cell phone stopped reporting to the network." You have the cell data, you know if it's powered off or not, and that's true. They're dancing around that along with a lot of other things.
Yeah,
and I want to point that out because this is the part that's really difficult. The legal documents never said he turned the phone off. It does not say he turned the phone off. It said he lost cell service. And the PCA says, in my experience in law enforcement, criminals often turn their phone off to go commit a crime. That was a guess. That was a conjecture. And he never said that Brian Kohberger turned his phone off. It was two statements. The phone lost cell coverage, and that would be consistent with what I know about criminals turning their phone off. They did not say Brian Kohberger turned his phone off. But the tricky part is Celebrite, a cell phone expert, was going to come in and tell people, we know Kohberger turned his phone off. He actually hard powered it off. So all you people who think that losing connection to the cell tower means he just lost connection and didn't turn it off, you're wrong. He did lose. But the problem is they were saying that never under oath. They were never going to go under oath. They weren't going to go presented at trial. They just were blowing shit out their ass. So do you believe it because they said so? Or do you realize that they can say whatever they want because it was never going to be in trial? So they can say, oh yeah, he totally powered that thing off. And we're an expert. Can you say that under oath? No, I'm not going to say it under oath. So then it doesn't fucking necessarily mean anything. You've got a hard on to fucking convict somebody, and you'll say whatever it will convict them. So
and being that you're talking about phones, the thing that we keep driving, it comes up every night. We've said many times, cell phone data is not proof of life, but it can help to somewhat lead you to a theory or help with a timeline, definitely. Why don't we have the cell phone data? So I understand whether you want to believe them or not. Kaylee was on her was on her parents' plan, and they can get the call log. They could get who sent what message. We can't see the messages. Other phone data besides that, they claim that her phone is still locked. Like I said, whether you want to believe that or not. However, other people's phones are not locked. So we have all this stuff about messages and text messages and who messaged this person, that, you know, then and there. Why are they not telling us? This is very simple. They have this info. Why are they not telling us when Ethan and Xana's cell phones went back on the Wi-Fi? That will tell us. And
Yeah.
now you could say, oh, well, what if, okay, their phone was there. That doesn't mean they were there. Yes, that is 100%. They could have been killed somewhere else in a warehouse and their phone is at the house. Yes. But
And look, and by the way, Trisha has this great point, and I'm going to be a little critical with this statement. So all of a sudden, these experts who have been doing this for years and they're writing books, it seems kind of shady. So, is there any potential? Listen to this. I mean, I'm just asking the question because it's a devil's advocate's kind of question. Is there a potential that Cy Ray hasn't said anything because everybody's waiting for his book? Where will he reveal the truth about it? And his book's really fucking expensive. It's $95 to buy a book. How many copies of his book will he sell? Because it's the hottest case in America still, and he's the one expert that has not talked to anybody about the case officially. And now he writes a book. Is there any incentive for him to purposely be vague about what he feels so that you have to buy his book at $95 a pop to do it? And we bought it. We're gonna, and I'm gonna share it with you. Here's the good news: you don't have to buy the book, which mostly is not going to be about Brian Koberger. There's going to be parts about Koberger, but at least we bought the book. And by the way, as far as Lana goes, somehow, and I don't know, I haven't asked, but Lana apparently got an advanced copy of the book, so she's read the entire book. I really wanted to get Lana with Truth and Transparency to talk about the book with me. The unfortunate part is we are still waiting for the book to arrive, and she's read it front to back and is ready to start doing stuff. So I don't think she's going to wait for me to catch up and read the book to talk with her about it. But I would love to talk with her about some of those findings together.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Again, I know she's planning on coming on our show pretty soon, but I think she's well ahead because she's already read the book and already has had it for quite a while.
Yeah, she's pretty upset. She had her show last night, I think, was about 2 hours, and she was basically ranting and raving, and she doesn't feel that they're. I spoke with Lee offline, and I kind of more agree with Lee, and me being in law enforcement. She doesn't say that there is a problem with the system. She's blaming more of the people. She's saying that it doesn't matter what system you have. So you could have a system with all kinds of checks and balances, but if you have corrupt people, people that are going to lie, that do whatever, it doesn't matter on the system.
And Baby B, this comment right here sticks close to home. Let me tell you this. We talked about how we're trying to kind of reshape not being Idaho 4 only, but we jumped on buying a copy of this book, and I knew the exact same thing you just said. It's a textbook. It's not going to be a book about the Idaho 4 murders. Mm-hmm. It's a fucking textbook in which, like you said, there's probably maybe, I would be surprised if there's even 18 pages, but maybe there's 18 pages talking indirectly about it. We bought a textbook for college students, essentially, which is
a bunch.
Price, just so we can have a few pages in the book to talk about, because that's what's driven the whole Idaho 4 true crime community. Everybody's so desperate to have something new to talk about that they'll buy a $95 book for a few pages that might be in there.
He's got a few chapters. Well, he's got a few different chapters on it.
But didn't Lana say there's nothing of importance in the book? Didn't Lana say there's nothing in there? It's a nothing burger.
Well, what she says is he doesn't like I said, I'm going by what she claimed. We don't have the book yet. He doesn't make any conclusive blaring conclusions on many things. I think the main thing may have been already what he released in the 40-page preview is what you already had said, Lee, is that there may be evidence that BK was involved or whatever, but they played games with the cell phone stuff, and when they got certain info, and they should have taken some of that info and maybe did some comparisons or whatever it is that they use. They didn't do it. They just had BK in their sights, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, and real quick,
what
Joanne, I did see Lana make an announcement about doing a roundtable. I didn't see her mention me specifically, but I figured she would probably invite me as well. So if she does extend the invite to me or whatever, I'll be there for the
Yeah.
roundtable. So yeah.
Yeah, because I think the big,
um
I think her. Oh, go ahead, Robin.
I was just gonna say, for me, I'm interested in Cyrie's book because also gaining maybe some insight, because it is a textbook, gaining some insight into investigations. And because one of the things he's big on in this book is how not to investigate. So I'm very
Yeah,
interested to see what he says about that as well, not just the the Koberger case.
yeah,
So I'm very curious about that
and
aspect of it as well.
uh, I think the
And
big thing that Lana wanted to do with the roundtable with you guys, I think the focus that's what she was saying earlier. I guess she was in the chat for typically unique. Is that all these experts, Turvey, Christopher Wickholm, she said that she was willing to fly to wherever Wickholm was. She's tired of just going by stuff. She wants to see receipts, and I don't blame her. We're big on receipts here too.
yeah,
She wants to see receipts on stuff. So
yeah. I mean, if yeah.
you can't
So
just say I'm an expert. I like, oh,
if
I'm an
somebody were
expert. You know.
if somebody could give me the receipts, I'll fly wherever the fuck you want, or I'll drive or fly. If I have to drive,
Yeah.
I'll drive. I'll fly if I can
Right.
sit down with them, because I understand people not wanting it to be in the hands of YouTubers. So I know people have, for example, the crime scene photos. I know they do, but they
Yeah.
don't want to give them to YouTubers because they don't want it splashed. And fair, I totally get that. I'll fucking put myself in handcuffs behind my back and you fucking turn pages for me. Let me come over to the house and take a look at them. You can fucking turn the pages. I'll be handcuffed. Whatever you need to do, ensure I'm not going to leak it onto the internet, but let me see it for myself so I can talk about it educated. I'm ready. So, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
what else? Good conversation tonight. Crazy. We're all spun up about a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
And by the way,
Yeah.
I thought Lana, Joanne was saying that Lana was planning on having Cyree to expose the corruption. But the post that people were sending me from Lana sounds like she's irate at Cyree. It sounded to me like she was
is
like,
now.
She
she's
is.
like, fuck this guy.
She's-
Like, I'm not going to sit there and be played like that.
Well,
Yeah.
Was she lied to? Was she
Right.
told?
Yeah, she said he did a 180-degree turn. He wasn't
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
none
So
of
what
the stuff.
happened?
Yeah,
What
I don't
happened?
know.
Because
I don't know.
I remember when she went to, I believe it was CrimeCon the year before you did, year before last, and she sat down with Cyree. They did a live together, her and you know, and she said, the very first interview that Cy was going to do was going to be with her when he was allowed to talk, and he's like, yeah. So
Yeah. And here's the
I
thing.
don't know
Joanne said,
what changed.
Lana said that she was advised she's not allowed to ask him certain questions. And I believe that. Cyree's still under an official gag order. So he can't. I was surprised in a way when, she announced that he was going to go on and talk, because I'm like, he can't talk about certain things. And I'm sure this is true. Lana was advised she can't ask him about certain questions, and they're not going to talk about certain things. So, and look, I have nothing but the utmost respect for Lana, but I said, a lot of people are the name is going to draw people's attention, but can he really say anything? So of course everyone's going to tune in if Cyree is showing up on someone's show, but will he say anything? Or is he, like this quote, not allowed to say certain things, and they're not allowed to go down certain avenues? So if you have an interview with somebody who has all the answers we want, but not allowed to talk about it, is it useful? I don't know. But like along your lines, Robin, I think I kind of go with what you're saying, and I kind of don't. I for the most, like you said, look, the Cyree book's going to be educational to us in all of our cases. We can learn about how cell phone data works and how timing advance works, and it's going to appear in all kinds of cases. It already is. It appears in the Millete case, Larry Millete, who allegedly killed his wife Maya. There's questions about whether or not he went to the beach with his son, and the cell phone lost connection with the cell tower. So maybe reading Cyree's book will educate us on Larry Millete's case. So yeah, it'll be useful. But I've read a lot of textbooks, and they're dry as fuck. They don't read real well. So I'm not sure if I have time and energy to read a textbook on cell data. But it's going to be a good investment if we can digest it and then explain it to the average person and say, look, don't read the book. I'll tell you what you need to know.
Yeah, well, Cy writes from the excerpts that I read from the preview
Yeah.
for the book.
Pretty
He
plain.
writes in a way that is interesting and it's not
Yeah.
dry. At least what I've
Yeah.
seen. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
It
his
did right.
approach is a little bit more I guess you would say entertaining. So that and it seemed like it was pretty down to earth. I didn't see it, like any real difficult vocabulary. Now, maybe some of the more technical aspects of the equipment and so forth, that might be a little bit of a different story. But for the most part, it seemed pretty straightforward and not at like a PhD level. So
And Frisco Chick says Lana feels the community is getting
Yeah.
used. And I will say, there's been a lot of people, and you never know. Are people playing sour grapes? Like when we got Christopher Whitcomb's interview, other YouTubers were saying, "You guys are all suckers. You got played. That guy came on there just to play. You think you got something special, but all you're on is his little fucking puppet." And we had to deal with that criticism. Like I'm somehow an idiot. I got played by Christopher Whitcomb by bringing him on and having the first interview. But the question does come. Are these people trying to get out ahead again of more narrative shaping? Are they going and making YouTube appearances to again just reiterate the official narrative and shoot holes in
right.
all the conspiracy theories? And is that the entire purpose? Are they not coming forward to actually bring light to the subject, but rather to anchor down that in the end we got it all right? So it makes you wonder. But
Yeah, yeah, the question does have to be asked. However, what we have to do is, no matter what's being put out, find those little nuggets of gold, so to speak, and try to connect the dots, no matter what case it is, because that's the mission of our channel, is to bring these things to light the best possible way we can, using documents and books and so forth. So we just we have to use what we can and what's available.
yeah.
Right.
Michelle F says, so there was a discussion in the chat about whether Lana got scooped by the custody queens, and because Lana's been saying for the longest time that she's got Cy Ray, and then all of a sudden Cy Ray makes an announcement that he's going on with the custody queens. And look, YouTube world is a dog eat dog world. It means a lot. It means a lot to any channel to be the first person to interview somebody, some big name in the biggest case in the country. So I could understand why somebody would be mad if so-and-so promises so-and-so you've got the first interview and then turns their back and says, nope, I'm going with this other channel because I like what they do better, or they're bigger, or they can put me in a bigger audience. Now, in the case of the custody queens, that's not the case, because the custody queens are a quarter of the size of Lana's channel. So I don't know what happened there. But yeah, those kind of things are going to cause a lot of rifts when you make. And here, I will tell you this, from a personal standpoint, the one thing I really liked about Christopher Whitcomb is he told me very, very early that I would have the first interview, and then everybody and their dog wanted him on the show, and he kept telling me, I made a promise to you that you're getting the first interview, so I'm not going to break my promise. So I'll give him kudos to that. Now, some people say, oh, you got played, he just wanted to play you. But the point being is that Chris kept his word to me. He's like, look, I told you early on you got the first interview, and all these people want me now, and I got Fox News wanting to talk to me, but you're still the first interview because I promised you. And that was cool. But
Yeah, Kathy from Kathy's Indie Zone. Good to see you. Come on up. I threw the link out for you if you have a little time
please.
tonight. Be great for you to join us.
Yeah, please come on up. I'd love to talk to you. I've tried to reach out to you a little bit, so I'd love to have you on the stage so I can chew you out. Just kidding. Just so I can have you on stage to talk to you. Just kidding. But yeah, it'd be great to have you up here. I'd love that. What else do we got? Any other questions? Let's see. Wow, our chat's moving so fast. I have to scroll for quite a while to try to get caught up.
I know. That's what I was like. Wow, you guys are on fire tonight. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for all your interactions. And if you're putting out those little jewels, thank you so much for those as well. We really appreciate all the gifts. We're hopefully soon going to be firing off to some other. Lee's always busy firing off records requests. So your donations help us continue our work and help further the of the channel. So we always appreciate anything, no matter how big or small. So thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we still have money in our war chest to go after public records. The problem right now is we're being stymied by them. They've got a backlog of public records requests that they're just not responding to anymore. And I don't know the legal ramifications. By law, they're supposed to, and I've reminded them in a certified letter that by law you're supposed to respond, and they're ignoring that as well. So I guess what they're doing is they're pulling my punk card and telling me to lawyer up. You want to come after us? Get a lawyer, bro. That's what they're doing to a lot of us now. You want to come at us? Then get a lawyer. And because guess what we got? More fucking money than you do on YouTube. So you lawyer up, we'll beat you, we'll out money you. I feel like that's the game that's being played right now. They know they're gonna out money us. So they're just like, sure, lawyer up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the same way with big corporations and people are suing them. They know that most people don't have the money to continue. They can bring the suit, but they don't always have.
Absolutely not. Right. That's why if the FBI comes after you, you're pretty much screwed.
Thank you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the support on the channel. Appreciate that very much, Jennifer Folsom. Appreciate that very much.
Yeah,
unless you're like a millionaire.
Right.
You can't really fight because the FBI, if they bring a case against you, they don't bring a case unless they have solid stuff. So
I feel like somebody. Yeah, we'll get her in just a second. I feel like what we need is some attorney that wants to do this pro bono because they realize that this could make or break their career. Like somebody's like, okay, I'll fucking take that case. Let's go. So anyways, let's get.
I told you.
Absolutely.
I told you.
Hey, Kathy, what's up?
John Ray would be the perfect.
Haley, Robin.
Hello.
Do I have an echo?
Hey.
How are you?
Am I making a spectacle of myself again with an echo?
No, you're good.
No, we hear you.
No, you're good.
Lee, I had to jump on.
Yeah.
I don't understand this, hate for Chris Wickham.
Yes.
There's a lot.
You got the first interview. Very impressed by that. And
thank you.
Then I watched Custody Queens, and I had to, who was it, Birdie?
Yeah.
I think had the third.
Yeah.
And Lon, I watched him, and look, I understand. There's a couple of errors, typograph. Look at the PCA. How many typographical errors did we see in the PCA? Okay.
Right. Yep.
Where it counted. I took a couple of pieces of information. And of course, being the nerd that I am, I had to go back into the dark room with the channel, because the only person I know that curated that entire docket from start to finish, right?
Yeah.
His stuff checked out. He gave me a couple of pieces, and this is what I've been looking for. I need a couple of pieces of information without taking away. That's what Judge Hippler does. When Judge Hippler releases something, he'll give you 2 pieces of the puzzle, and then 6 need to be taken away because it contradicts something else. I didn't get that with Chris. I thought that it was, I thought it was good research. It was the first time anyone ever came out and wrote the way, because everybody else, it was all the official narrative. Oh, it's this one, one person, and, did it in 5, an absolute genius that didn't drop a ton of DNA and take a ton of DNA, but the stupidest person in the world because he drove his own car at the crime scene. I mean, either he is absolutely brilliant.
Right. How stupid is that? Is that logic? Right. How stupid is the logic? He almost got away with it because he's so brilliant, but he doesn't fucking think to not drive his own car to the crime scene and take it. Like a toddler knows to not take your phone to the crime scene. Like it doesn't take a genius. So how does that work? But
it doesn't. I mean, either he is an absolute genius and now that we've learned the severity of these injuries and how many times, how many hits of that weapon. How didn't he leave with a ton of sweat and hair and red DNA on him? I don't know if I can use the word, but
you can for sure.
How didn't you drop a ton? That car, his car was torn apart by ISP and the feds. I mean, they went down into the floorboards. Maybe Juan, you can, as a professional in the field, explain. I've done some research, but what I understand is they'll go down with vacuums. They'll tear that car apart, right?
Yeah. Yes, they will. And I agree with you. I can't. I mean, it would maybe be the first time. I don't see how his car was at the scene, and even if you want to say this is the problem, you try to think of all these different scenarios, right? Like let's say BK you know, because that was always one of the theories, right? That he was just a driver. He didn't participate in any of the homicides. Maybe he was like, you know, he was just a driver, right? Well, if that was the case, you're still going to have someone who was involved
Right.
that was in the car. I just can't believe that they would find zero. So
Yeah.
I can't. To me, whoever was involved in the homicide stuff or cleaning up the crime scene or whatever involvement they have did not go in BK's car. That's the bottom line. I
No.
just don't see
Right.
it.
Yeah, I don't
No.
even see. I want to go back to something Kathy said, but I want to make this point. I don't even think Koberger could have been there to pick up somebody who was in the house
Right,
without getting
exactly.
DNA from the crime scene into the house. But anyways, one thing Kathy said that I want to share. Be careful about this. When I was talking to Christopher Wickham, I got to be pretty personal with him for a while, and he told me details of the case that didn't make it into the book. Details I will not share with you because I promised I wouldn't say anything. But what I will tell you is this: several of the details he told me that shocked me when he said that have come out in public documents after he told me about them. So he was 100% correct. When I saw it come out in the autopsy report, he told me certain things that I'm gonna. He's like, look, this, and this about the bodies. I didn't know any of that. It wasn't out there in the public. And then when the autopsy came out, sure fucking enough, everything he told me about what the girls had or whatever, that was all true. And there was other things that he told me that I haven't yet proven true, but I can tell you this, he already told me several other things that turned out to be absolutely true. So I have to think that the other things he told me probably are true as well. And again, I hate being vague, but to go with Kathy's point, I think he legitimately has information, and I don't doubt what he's told me because I've seen it already play out on the things that have come out so far.
So Lee, you have additional information from Christopher Wickham that you can't share?
Yeah, there's some other things that we talked about for sure that I can't.
Did you ever hear that saying, promises are meant to be broken? Come on, Lee. I'm sitting here for 4 years trying to figure this case out.
I know. Well, look, even if I'm not going to, because I'm a man of integrity, but even if I were to tell you, it wouldn't change anything because it would still be his word, right? And people would say, oh, Christopher Wickham, blow it out your ass. So I could tell you what I'm not going to, but I could tell you what Christopher Wickham told me. But at the end, people would say, oh, fucking Christopher Wickham's full of shit. That's not true. Until it comes out and you find out he totally is true. So yeah, he said some things. Yeah. He said some things and I'm like, holy shit. And I can't, I was sitting there biting my tongue, but even if I told you, you would just be like, well, he's a fucking liar. That's not true until it gets proven true.
Well, I guess we just have to wait a little bit more, maybe 6 months from now when Hitler unseals the next documents, maybe from December, because we're only, I mean, all he's done right now is for the 2025, a few documents, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. That's it. Nothing from 2024, nothing from 2023, nothing from the final days of 2022. Remember, he was arrested on the 29th of December. That's when the case opened. And he's still sealing stuff after July. July was the period.
Because I think there's litigation. There's the WSU lawsuit. Brian Koberger may be filing post-conviction relief, and so things have to stay sealed because it may be going back to court. Jennifer Folsom's question: do y'all think that this could not be covered up without the help of law enforcement? And my general take is I do feel personally law enforcement did part of the staging of the crime scene. Absolutely. The question is why.
I like what, I kind of like think more like with Juan was. I think that this was a lot of incompetence. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it is. I don't know. But what I do know is that when government hides things, seals things from the public, it's usually not for a good reason. So maybe it is to sort of not make as if we don't know what the errors are. Hello, we saw it with our eyes, how much I'd really like to know how much ISPs, forensics, or DNA from the Moscow Police Department who were all over that crime scene, every which way but loose for 5 hours, But maybe, going back to the question, it might be that we don't know. I mean, we've had situations, not all law enforcement are good people. I know certainly in my life, there's been times when I had to call them and they've helped me tremendously. But, there's going to be bad eggs in every profession, medical, the law, and the truck drivers, whatever. So yeah, there's
Right.
a possibility with so many, and maybe there's a possibility that someone was just throwing again.
Yeah.
First, but we're just throwing out stuff out here. But when I see Snyder come in there and the canine cop and sees rugs, and he doesn't know what that is unless he's a chemist and he sat there and he tested it right away. Why doesn't he get his canine?
Yeah.
That canine was purchased in the end of 2020. What was it? 2022 to help the way that MPD convinced was to help the growing rug problem. He was a specialist with FNYL.
Go ahead, Robin. Go ahead, Robin.
Okay, just real quick. Please settle down in chat. We don't call people dirty names here. So please respect one another. We're here for the common good and have a good time, and we don't want that kind of thing in chat. So please don't do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Kathy, you make a great point. Canines can be trained for, maybe one needs to correct me on this. I think canines can be trained for different purposes, right? They could be for an attack dog, or they could be a drug sniffing dog, or they can be trained for different things.
Yep.
If the canine on site was a drug sniffing dog, you've got a great point. We know there was drugs in the house. They talked about essentially the Adderall, the crushed pills, whatever. So that there's drugs in the house. So if that dog, and I don't know how that dog was trained. I don't know. Was that a drug sniffing canine? Do we know for sure?
Yes, he's Canine Ragnar of the Moscow Police Department. They're getting a second one. He's about 5 years old. But I'm very much fascinated by canines. My favorite is a Belgian Malinois. I will sit here all day and night watching them dogs jump out airplanes with Navy SEALs and go on missions and everything else. They are high. This dog probably got more training than maybe the police academy gives.
Your point is great though. If that was a drug sniffing dog, did they take that dog all over the house looking for drugs?
Well, what do you think the dog would have done if he found something? You'd see him in front of Snyder jumping up and down, wanting the cookie.
Hurting, right? Yeah, right.
I want to throw another thing into the mix here, Lee, if I might.
Yeah.
Where did Officer Snyder come from immediately before arriving at 1122 King Road with no body cam and not in his MPD issued car? By the way, he's got the MPD canine car.
Yeah.
He's the canine officer. He's the one. Remember, we saw him standing on, infamously on the 1112 porch with canine all over his back, right?
Yeah.
He came Main Street. He was over at Main Street, over by the Walgreens. There was a call that morning for rugs. So only one canine.
One that officers that have a dog assigned to them, they keep them at home too, don't they?
Yes, they do.
They live with them. Yeah, they live with them. I know a canine. His wife, he brought home 4 dogs, and his wife said, "Oh no, you can't have another dog. It's either the dog or me." Next thing you find out, he's going through a divorce. I mean, they love them dogs. They love them. Those dogs are officers. You cannot, like a criminal that tries to hit them or whatever. That is, a battery on a law enforcement official. That's serious stuff. But where Snyder was right before he arrived at 1122. This is why I believe he didn't have his MPD issued car, which was the canine car. He didn't have his partner with him. He had just come over from Main Street. There's a Walgreens over there. And they had called in. It was, I think, 11:15. Cops go there. Okay, we need the canine unit here. So the canine unit, from the information we have, arrives at 11:30. Okay, those are the 3 calls after 11 o'clock. 11:15, rugs somewhere. I don't know if it was a car, if it was a house, but it was over by Walgreens on Main Street. And then 11:30, the canine unit comes out. Next thing you know, you see Snyder coming up. He doesn't have his body cam on. Now, if he is searching a car and you think he's not going to have his body cam on him, where's his dog?
Right.
Where's the car?
Right.
Why didn't he get the dog later? When you're finding, he's standing up there in Xana's room looking at the desk and saw that crushed. No, unless he's a chemist, he doesn't know what that was. Call the dog in. You would have to.
I would say anybody reasonably looking at that would assume it was drugs. So you wouldn't even have to be a chemist. You could look at it and go, I should probably have that tested.
Right. And dogs' noses are so powerful that you could get the dog just within so many feet of the you know the drugs or whatever they're looking for at the moment,
Yeah.
and it would alert. So if they were worried about the dog tracking through the crime scene, they wouldn't have needed to be necessarily, because the dog wouldn't have had to go, you know, real close to alert, because that's, you know, a lot of times cadaver dogs, they get to within a certain amount of feet and they're able to smell, you know,
Yeah,
the
real
target.
quick,
So
Cat Lover 4700, by the way, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate that very much. I hope that you will find
yeah,
lots
thank
of really
you.
cool member-only content, and including one of the perks, by the way, of member-only content for like $2.99 is that you can look at videos as member-only content before they come out to the public. Like right now, I've got a video that's running. It's going to be published tomorrow morning. You could be taking a look at that. In fact, you can, because you just bought a membership, so you could take a look at tomorrow's video. So thank you very much for that.
Going
And there's
back
lots of
to
extra stuff.
Robin, Lee, going back to what Robin had just said, she made a really important point. Robin, I had totally forgotten about this. There was another canine unit that was seen around.
Yes.
I think it was more of a bloodhound. What a disgrace! I mean,
Yeah.
this is Ragnar is is an officer. He's not only an
Right.
MPD sworn officer, he is an
Mhm.
officer of Lehigh County. He's a sheriff too. So I mean, they're sworn and everything else. They bring another dog
Yep.
in. Okay, that would be like, how would Officer Snyder like if they, oh, well, we're going to bring in somebody from, you know, another town over, not you. You can't come here. You know, I mean, you have the dog. He's a canine, highly trained. You got to see I mean, these dogs are fearless. They
Yeah.
jump through
Oh,
cars,
yeah.
you know. I mean, they are fearless. They're so smart. They're so highly trained. Like I said, my favorite is Belgian Malinois. They will jump out of planes. Now they got them to where they're not even attached to the Navy SEALs anymore. They just jump out by themselves. So
Yeah.
I'm shocked. And then going to what Birdie had said, I don't know what I'm hearing. Officer Snyder whispered to Captain Lanier if it was he's Sigma Chi or it's a CI. Now he seems to think it's a CI. Is what
Right.
Snyder. Now, if Snyder's the canine
That's what I think
officer,
it is.
he would definitely know who the CI is, wouldn't he?
Right.
If it's
Sure.
about drugs.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, if it's about drugs, yeah.
About drugs.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. Robin, you heard it, right? What do you think he's whispering?
I think he says CI.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I honestly
Whoa.
do. That is my opinion, is that he said CI, and like you said, if he's involved, you know, with anything to do with you know, anything, if drugs are involved in any way, shape, or form, he would be
Yeah.
privy to that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he definitely said, and he said one of the victims, and I don't think,
Yes.
Right.
yeah,
One
I
of-
think from his statement, when, you know, we've heard it a million times, we played it over. I think you could rule out Dylan and Bethany. I do. I don't think that he
Right.
was, I'm pretty sure he was referring to one of the homicide victims.
One
Yeah.
of the four, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
if you heard that one, that makes
Yep.
that makes me, because I have been onto this for so long, and now you can't even find the details from the 13th of what the calls were. I think Lana has it. I definitely have it because I've been following. I've called it Canine Gate, like Dateline
Yeah.
Canine Gate. So
Yeah.
I did Dateline
That's great.
Gate
I love that.
and then Canine. Why didn't they bring the dog? What's he doing coming from another call without his car, without his partner, without a body cam? One,
Right.
would anybody ever search a car with a dog without a body cam?
No. You would get. There's no reason to do that. You would
Motion
get.
to dismiss.
Yeah,
Motion to-
they would.
That would
They
be a
would.
motion to dismiss,
Right.
right?
They would think you're doing something, nefarious. They.
Mhm.
I mean, they're pretty crazy here. I mean, in NYP, we've had the body camera for a few years now, so something to that magnitude where you have like a legitimate arrest, or maybe you had to get an arrest warrant. I mean, I've had some supervisors and stuff that they thought like a certain situation was over, and they forgot, they turned the body camera off. One sergeant I just previously worked with, he lost he lost 5 days vacation because
Wow.
of that. He was in a situation. He had his body camera on, and then he thought the situation was over. He had turned his body camera off, and then I guess one of the officers had spotted something in the car, so he went back. He went back to the car with his flashlight on and helped in the search, but now his body camera was off, and he got nailed on that. So they're pretty strict.
Can I ask you a question? Well, I have two questions I need to ask you. Okay.
Yeah.
New Jersey has been using body cams for years. New York has as well. What the heck's Pennsylvania's problem? That there was no body cam with you going in, you're getting ready to arrest supposedly this mass unaliver, dangerous. They had to get a nighttime warrant. You're telling me they didn't have, they didn't have to have it. It wasn't required until later. But you're not going to have something for officers.
I think they had it. I think they had it.
Yeah.
I agree. I think so.
Yeah. Somebody wanted me to ask you about. I want to put this on screen so we can show it. Let me do this and see if I can avoid showing any porn on TV. All right. So this was a document I just found out about today, but it's filed 6/12. The WSU.
I put that up on my website today.
What is your thinking? So the WSU case, the Gonzalez's et al. Versus WSU, is moving into a federal U.S. district court instead of a state court. What the fuck happened there? They've been
in federal court since January 27th when WSU removed the state case, because what the four families, the plaintiffs, it's Gonzalez et al. It's the personal representatives of the four plaintiffs. They filed. It was the county where the Chapins live. Is it Skagit? One of those.
Skagit County up on on the west side. Skagit. Yeah.
Well, as a defendant, you have the option when you first come into the case, which WSU got served with process and everything in January. The lawsuit was filed beginning of January in state court. They removed it. What that means is they literally took the case out of state court, ripped it out of state court. Jurisdiction is now suspended completely in state court, and they moved it up to the Western District. It had to be in the division where Skagit County is. They were trying to get it transferred to the Eastern District, closer to Pullman, but then they dropped that. Explain why later if you're interested. But they've been in federal court since January 27th. And
so 20, you mean 26?
January 27, 2026. Yes, the end of January is when WSU came in and they removed the case. They've been in federal court since then.
Okay, so I don't want to use the word pushback. I want you to educate me. So I remember seeing it was granted to move to the Eastern Court in Washington State. I remember seeing that. This document right here. Hold on, let me finish though. This document right here, dated 6/12, tells you the new case number. It says, "Please note the case number has changed." So if it changed almost a year ago or 6 months ago, why is it just now changing the court number?
No, what had happened was it's been in the Western District, and you're right. They wanted to try to get it changed to the Eastern District, closer to Pullman, but WSU apparently messed up. They filed their answer and affirmative defenses too late. Federal court is very strict. You can get away with a lot more in state court. They had to ask for leave of court to file their answer late. So what the plaintiffs did is they filed a motion where they were looking to strike their answer and affirmative defenses for violations of the local rules of court. They did a let's make a deal. WSU said, okay, we'll drop our motion for change to a venue over to the Eastern District. And the plaintiff said, okay, we'll drop our demand that we're going to strike your answer and affirmative defenses. Once that happened, Kimberly Evanson, she was the judge that was assigned from the beginning, and she's a United States District Court judge.
Right.
She had said, we're going to put out the scheduling order after we deal with change of venue. But since they had their let's make a deal, for want of a better term, then what the parties had to do, they had to get together and do a joint proposed scheduling report. okay, when do we want trial to be? When do we want discovery cutoff to be? When do we want the deadline for adding any other parties? They were told, file that by the end, it was in May it was due. Then because they filed the scheduling report, Kimberly Evanson, the district court judge, she had a hearing. There was a hearing a couple of weeks ago, right? And at that hearing, would you like to agree to jurisdiction with the magistrate judge? And so, okay, they have to agree to it, right? They want a month-long trial, Lee. It's 20 days. 20 days is a month because there's no working on weekends and holidays. So what they did is they agreed to the jurisdiction of, is his name on here? It's
yes, down below.
Okay, that's why you see the initials up there. District Court judge. What's his name? It's
the district court judge is Honorable Kimberly Everson, but there was another judge
a magistrate. You see the initials right there, KKE. That's Kimberly K. Evanson. BAT is the magistrate
right here
handling stuff. What's his name? Brian.
Honorable Brian
Chichita.
Yeah.
Okay, so the case is going to stay in the Western District where it is. It's that they consented to jurisdiction of the magistrate judge. So that's why the case number changed.
So this is all super interesting. So is Brian Suchita or Atuchita? I'm not how to pronounce it. Is he a Washington state judge or a federal judge?
No, he's a federal full-time magistrate judge, specifically with the Western District of Washington.
Okay.
So
it is moved out of the state court, but into federal court in Washington state?
That happened back in January.
Okay. So what's new then about this, which is dated in just June, just recently, and it says, this action has been assigned. All future documents filed in this case must bear this number and bear the judge's name, like something changed. What changed a few days ago?
Well, what happened is they had the hearing about a weekend. It was right after Memorial Day. And that's where, like, that hearing when they came and they talked about, they were filing a motion to seal basically some discovery related matters. But one of the questions that came up, because this, a month-long trial is almost unheard of in federal court. This is going to require so much time. And so I think it doesn't say why, but I mean, all the discovery, imagine, WSU is said in their first affirmative defense, they told the plaintiffs, you're barking up the wrong tree. If you have any damages, which we don't think you do, you need to go after other people or other entities. So ever since my eyes saw that,
Jesus.
Number one, I said, are they going to bring in somebody else, another entity? Well, good news, everybody. The deadline per the scheduling order for either side to add anyone is June 29th. So you know where my eyes have been on this docket. I'm watching it like a hawk.
That's amazing. You're like all over that explanation. I was really curious when I saw the document about shit my pants. I'm like, how did it move into the federal court system? But
yeah. Well, it really should have been. I mean, it's like most mayhem and wrongful unaliving. But what gave them the teeth to move it into federal court was count one, the Title IX count. That is a federal statute. And that's where there's like the 13 people they said that complained about Koberger and the women and did nothing about it. They were scared, everything else. They're suing under Title IX. So that is a federal statute. If they didn't have count one, they'd still be in state court.
Yeah. So, you know what? It's super interesting. My like I said, my first thought when I was ranting about this before you came on was, did this become some kind of civil liberties issue which moved it into the federal court? But does it stay forever in the federal jurisdiction, even though, like, it seems like it just feels weird that I don't know. I'm trying to understand the forever staying in the.
Are you possibly referring to remand?
Yeah. Yes. Right.
That's exactly what you're talking. Exactly what you're talking about. Yes, the federal court could very easily lose jurisdiction here. You know how? if the plaintiffs drop count 1, because that's the only reason why we're in federal court with this case. Count 1, Title 9 of the Education Act. If the plaintiffs get rid of that count, boom, then there's, because remember, federal court's limited jurisdiction, state court has general jurisdiction. Most cases are going to take place in state court. These are all state counts except count 1, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, then that would destroy federal jurisdiction, and boom, then remand back to state court again. You go.
And who wins? Who wins in the situation if the count 1 gets dropped and it goes back to the state? I mean,
Well, usually, there's an old saying, it's general said that plaintiffs, state court is usually friendly to plaintiffs, right? You're closer to
yeah,
the federal courts, more formal. It's considered more of a defense-friendly environment, more formal procedures. The judges are supposed to be more knowledgeable on the law. They're not going to be making emotional decisions like you see happening in state court every day of the week. It's not going to be people. I think that's why they filed it. And I'm sorry, is it Skagit County?
Skagit.
Skagit County.
Yeah. Yeah.
They filed it there. Well, first, I think that the Chapins are the only plaintiffs that live in Washington State.
Right.
So that's why they filed it there. But without count 1, Lee, it was a brilliant question. Then you got remand, but they would have to drop count 1 for that to occur. Then boom, then you're back down to, and that sometimes you'll see, go up to federal court, then it comes down to state court. It's like a ping pong ball. But I don't know if that's going to happen here. I was very surprised that they agreed, the defense, to jurisdiction of the magistrate judge, because the defense, the attorneys who are representing, the state attorneys that are representing WSU won a major lawsuit in front of this very judge in December. He was the lead of a bunch of other states that were suing the government for they were getting rid of monies after all of the pew-pews, the school pew-pews. They were giving the schools monies for counseling and things like this for the kids. Well, the states went back and sued, and the lawsuit was filed, and it was this judge. Big victory for the attorneys representing WSU.
Yeah.
So I was real surprised that they agreed to the magistrate. Maybe they know him as well. I don't know.
Well, I just, and it sounds like you know the law extremely well. What I'm curious about is what's the date for the trial to start, the WSU trial? Because the reason
September 2027.
Okay. So this is super interesting. So what happens if Brian Koberger files post-conviction relief before the WSU trial starts? And what if there's a habeas corpus issue in there and it becomes a civil liberty, that his civil rights were violated on a federal level, and it becomes a federal case right before the WSU lawsuit?
Wow, what a great question, because we don't know. I mean, I was expecting that these families are going to, try to take his deposition. You got to go through a bunch of hoops. First off, it's out of state. They're going to have to, go ahead, domesticate the deposition. And then it's not like you're going to be serving somebody, who works at whatever, a Starbucks or something. You're going to have to go through the warden. There's a ton of complications, but I have a feeling that those parents would love to depose him. But right now, he's got no appeals, right? What's he going to raise Fifth Amendment privilege to what? He's not, his case is done. He pled guilty. He's in prison. Now he decides to appeal, because of course we also have Hunter versus United States that's going on right now in SCOTUS. Right. That could change, right? Juan?
Yeah.
That happens.
Big case.
That's going to be big.
That happens. Whoa.
Where are we at on that? I mean, I read about that case and it's been silent. I mean, is the Supreme Court going to rule? Is there even a possibility that the Supreme Court's going to rule that a person waiving their right to appeal is not constitutional? I mean, and when are they going to make that decision? Like before or after everything? Like when are they making that decision?
Well, the Supreme Court usually goes on vacation, for want of a better term, the end of June. Sometimes they'll stay until like the beginning of July, but usually July 4th, they close down shop, and then they remember the first week of October, that's when they come back for the new year. So,
Okay.
of course,
Will they make a decision before they go on vacation?
they have to, yeah, and it's pending, and people are watching. If I'm not watching the WSU docket, I'm on SCOTUS. Now, anybody who wants to hear some great, usually oral argument is boring as heck, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
oral argument's going to be boring. It's going to be dry. You're going to have at one point with Supreme Court Justice Gorish, I think it was, who turned to the DOJ, because that's who's representing the United States, and says, are you telling me that if a sentencing judge has an orangutan, what the sentence should be out of a paper bag, that defendant should not have the right to appeal? So we said, wow, who thought they were comedians, right? But
Wow.
then you also have another justice who, when she was in Harvard, her dissertation paper was on the problems with these plea deals. And she said people that are poor, people that are innocent, they're afraid, they don't have any resources. She said, this is it's bad. So we got at least 2 justices. We need a majority out of the 9. Right now, the law of the land is Garza versus Idaho. Remember when last year when Koberger pled guilty, you heard Judge Hippler say, oh, well, yeah, guilty plea is not really a guilty plea because of Garza versus Idaho. That's a SCOTUS case. And the Supreme Court never was, didn't come out and say, they've said that there's certain times when it's like an unwaivable thing to waive your appellate rights. I wish you could never waive your appellate rights. I think that you give up enough when you plead guilty. You're giving up the right to remain silent, to a jury trial, to confront witnesses against you. You're going to give up appellate rights too. And then what happens is sometimes prosecutors will withhold exculpatory evidence. That's what one of the amicus briefs say. Then what's the defendant supposed to do? Or, you got people that are innocent. They did a study, another one, and said like 57% of people that were innocent decided they would plead guilty because they were afraid of the unknown. So now with the appellate courts, there's a conflict amongst the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is over Idaho, the 11th Circuit, which is over Alabama and Florida and Georgia. What are the grounds? So right now, what most believe is ineffective assistance of counsel is one, that you should always be able to appeal your rights, right? You should, even if you sign away, appellate rights. And the other is if the judge sentences you above with the statute. But what we're hearing and what people are saying is violation of due process. Maybe that should also be in there. If somebody's due process rights of notice, opportunity to be heard, and an impartial judge and jury gets stomped all the way from here down the street and back, that should be grounds for an appeal. Or if you learn later that the prosecutor withheld exculpatory evidence, what are you supposed to do then? So what people are thinking, they're expecting the Supreme Court's going to. Now, we don't know, but Lee, of all names, this would have to be Hunter. Right? How many hunters are involved in this case? Right?
Why does it have to? Yeah, exactly. When you said Hunter, the Hunter case, I'm like, what the fuck? Hunter has a case now. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Come on. Yeah. I mean, some people say, hey, that's a sign or whatever. I don't know. But right now, we are, and the minute that they rule, I'm going to be on there, and I will be saying, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Indie Zone. The Supreme Court of the United States has come out. And right now, the next time that you're in Judge Stephen J. Hippler's courtroom, he's not going to be citing Garza anymore. He's going to be citing Hunter. Goodbye, goodbye, Garza. Hello, Hunter. That's going to be the law in the land.
Right. Well, I need to twist your arm to get on our show if that happens after that. Right after you do your show saying that, then you come on my show and talk to us and explain it to us over here as well. So, yeah, that's amazing. Amazing stuff.
A lot going on, you guys. Every independent journalist, devil's advocate and the outcast who I love, and and Lana and everybody, you guys are going to have so much. I mean, you got let's not even talk about Schofield versus Guillard. That's in federal court right now. She's appealing the $10 million verdict.
I didn't remember
Koberger's
this
going to be
news.
all over the place in that appeal.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, from all intents and purposes, Koberger is 100% silent. We're hearing nothing about any attempt to file post-conviction relief. Everybody's out here on the outside saying, oh, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. Nothing is coming remotely from Koberger. All we hear about Koberger is he doesn't like his bananas in prison and thinks that his cellmates are too annoying. Like that's all we haven't heard shit about him giving a shit about his defense or his conviction. So we're left completely blind on and guessing whether or not anybody's doing anything about this on the backside.
That's right, Lee. He might not. I mean, but then again, life is a long time. You know, maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10 years, he might. And by that time, you know, unless something else comes along, it's not going to be Garza, it's going to be Hunter. You know, because we're all talking about, okay, you know, I've done, you know, my analysis of that sheath. I don't know why that sheath wasn't thrown out due to chain of custody. I don't know why, right? And everybody's come up with all that. Right? Guy, he's waived his appellate rights. He ain't going nowhere unless he files an appeal where the governor of Idaho pardons him. Do we think that's going to happen? No. So
no way.
We go back on an appeal, right?
Right. Yep.
He's there. I mean, when they say he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison, they're not saying that, you know, without reason for. So
I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but how terrified do you think the Supreme Court is if they do rule that it's unconstitutional to make somebody waive their rights, that this is going to undo hundreds and hundreds of convictions where it was like, well, hey, fuck, I want to relook at this. Are they terrified of the domino effect of the legal system when they open up the floodgates for every single plea deal to be re-examined?
Well, you know, no one knows they're debating. That might be one of the reasons why, you know, it's taking so, because the oral argument was March 2nd. And you were coming up. It's a couple weeks. They're scheduled to close. But I've done a lot of research, and what people who, you know, they get down to like, you know, oh, okay, well, Gorge said this, or, you know, he said that, you know, they analyze. I don't think they're going to throw everything out. I don't think they're going to get to the point where they say, okay, no plea deals ever. It might be a little bit of a tweaking of it, you know, to give the courts of appeal information so that they're consistent, because we don't have consistency right now.
And I don't know how they could do, I don't want to bore everybody with all this legal shit, but I don't know how they could do, like, part of me thought, well, what if they do this kind of like from here on out, it has to be this way, but we're not going to retroactively go look at cases, but they can't. How can they rule something was unconstitutional and not say that means that all the times you did it before was unconstitutional? Like, you can't just ignore all the times it was done. So I feel like they can't just say, well, from here on out, we're going to do it a different way. They're going to have to say, we've been doing it wrong for our whole country.
Look at Mr. Hunter. He was convicted. It was a financial type of crime. You know, he was convicted in the past. It didn't just happen like the day that oral argument was, but I can't see that they're going to throw everything out, you know?
Cat Lover asks, how is it that Turvey said Ann Taylor didn't DNA the hair as they found out that the hair was in Ethan's hand? Isn't that a cause to appeal? See, that's the thing. No, it's not. See, Ann Taylor, again, Brian Koberger has to be the one to ask his attorney to do that, and he didn't. So whatever, she's got to follow his lead. If he says he's okay with the plea deal, then we're okay with the plea deal. The $1 million question becomes, did Ann Taylor inform her own client that her expert was telling her there's DNA or there's hair at the crime scene that could exonerate him and that it should be tested? Did she even tell her client that? That's the question. Before he took the plea deal, did she say, hey, by the way, before you say you want to do this, there is new hair that's been found, and when my expert's saying we should get it tested, do you still want to do that? Nah, fuck it, I did it. I'm going to do it. Like, did he even know? I don't know.
Yeah.
To be a fly on the wall, to be a fly on the wall, and to understand that but I'm going to tell you something. All I know, republished. I don't know if it was episode 732 or something. And I'm listening to myself last July 5th saying, what a week this was. On Monday afternoon, we thought there was a trial. Now there's no trial, and he pled guilty to everything. I
It's
mean,
stunned me.
I was
Yeah.
stunned. I
Yeah.
still am a year later.
Yeah.
And what
I couldn't even
changed?
go back to work that day.
I
Right.
had
there
I
was-
had an Airbnb rented
Yeah.
for the trial. I was going to be at the trial every single day. I was going to go
Yeah.
down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I
I
mean, we
wonder,
all thought.
I wonder what was in that last document drop, right? So that
Yeah.
last week. So that's what I mean. That's what Turvey had. You know, he was talking about. There was who knows what was in that last drop
Yes,
that
there was.
of discovery. That, you know, is there something in that last drop that just went, you know, pushed the pendulum?
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Juan, I just have to say, why would Turvey lie? You know, what is his gain for lying?
Yeah.
And
Well, I don't.
saying that
Right.
there
I
was
don't.
hair in his hand
Right.
and on the
Yeah.
bed. We
Yeah.
all saw that hair on the ground. I mean, it was horrible. I saw it once. I
Yeah.
don't want to see it again. But
But
we
it's not
saw
even
it.
just Ethan. But not even just Ethan. Apparently, Maddie and
There was hair up in the
Kaylee
bed with-
also.
yeah.
They had
Yeah,
hair with
yeah.
they had hair with roots. Apparently,
Right. We hardly ever talk about that. We keep talking about
Yes.
Ethan. There was hair torn out by the roots in the bed with, and we never talk about that. We keep talking
Right.
about Ethan.
And I think
almost think
that's
it's a bigger
huge.
one that the roots are
Right.
up in the bed. And again, it's not Brian Koberger's hair.
So
So
you know, if it was Brian Koberger's hair, you would have learned about it 4 years ago
Right.
in the affidavit of probable
Right.
cause. You know that.
absolutely,
Absolutely.
Right.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
you know what? It's like, hey, I'm going to quote Judge Stephen J. Hippler. Your client's DNA at the crime scene is probable cause every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Oh God. I
Why
know.
Right.
wouldn't they test that hair?
Right.
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 What are they afraid of?
Yeah, like he's so big
What
about
would ruin their
DNA.
narrative?
Right. He's so
Yeah,
big about
if-
DNA. Well, that's
Right.
DNA if I've ever seen any.
Yeah, I mean, why?
Yeah.
I mean, from the root, not some, you know, a couple of cells in a sheath. That questionable chain of custody, starting with the transfer of the sheath at 1122 King Road, middle of the night, from Talbot to Payne. You're not going to take that to a locker purse. Better yet, you're not going to ask one of these people walking around doing nothing, hey, get this up to down the Meridian immediately. You know, we
Yeah.
got all of these people here with this weapon. Here's the sheath. We got a mad person or people on, get this test. That's why I call it 3 days in Moscow, is my analysis of chain of custody. It spent 3 days in Moscow. It didn't, and the person who was the regular evidence tech wasn't there. They were calling with, remember I asked you before, Juan, what does
Yeah.
pre-log mean? Because ISP is saying, hey, they got problems down there with pre-log. We're going to try to fix it when it comes up here. It doesn't have evidence tape on it. It's not sealed. What's this? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to tuck this one last question. We're going to wrap up pretty soon. Although I see somebody saying they got ignored again. And I'm like, I try not to ever ignore anybody. So if you want to hunt Robin to see what we ignored on Vicky's question, we can look at that. But I want to answer this question. Who do you think planted the books in his apartment and on his office notice board if nothing was found anywhere? I'm not sure of any discussion about planted books is it in Koberger's apartment? Is there somebody suggesting that the books that he had in his apartment on wrongful convictions and why the innocent plead guilty and all this with that, is someone saying that those books are planted? I have not heard that, if that's what you're saying, nor do I know about any planted evidence on his office notice board. So I'm not even sure I understand the question entirely, but I wanted to read it so I can get you to clarify. So donation came in. Kathy, my autistic mind, let's put that up on the screen. Oops. My autistic mind is in awe of your brilliance and knowledge. You inspire me so much. Adopt me from Australia.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you all on this
thank you for the financial donation. I know that the creators don't ask for it, but they're independent. So anything that anyone can do with memberships or donations, you're not going to get the real deal from mainstream media. They're bought and paid for. People here,
Yeah.
like people on this panel, they do this because of the love of it. And that's why I love independent people.
Yeah,
So thank you.
And to that end, please, folks, Kathy's soon going to hit 6,000 subscribers. Help her out with
Really?
that. So
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
the link in the chat. I'm going to put it in the chat again. So please go over and show Kathy some love. What she does for this community is incredible, and her knowledge is amazing. And we love having her on panel with us. She's a really cool
Yeah.
person. So please go show her some love and help her hit that 6,000 people.
Yeah, if you weren't already, if you hadn't heard her before, if you weren't impressed with her understanding of the law and the legal documents before tonight, then you should be now. And so, yeah, for sure, make sure you check her out. Got a great mind and a great way of interpreting things, and then speaking it plainly to people so they can understand. So that's a gift right there. So
Yeah.
make sure you sign up.
Thanks, Robin. As my grandmother would have said, I've been stunad as to my numbers. I haven't really been keeping up with that. So I didn't realize it was 6,000. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to wrap up real quick. I do want to say we announced at the beginning, and we didn't talk very much about it, that we are not going to be doing Crimes After Dark on Mondays, which is ironic because part of the reason why we're not doing Crimes After Dark on Mondays is it's the lowest night. It was a night that hardly had anything, and now we have the biggest numbers we've fucking had. Must be Kathy coming up. But anyways, the point being is that then of course we say, you know what, Mondays really are a dead night for us. Anyways, we got a new channel to go. Let's get the new channel going on Monday nights. We'll drop the one night of the week that's the lowest for us, and then we have a banger night. But we're going to try it out for a while. Again, we're doing a lot of things that we're going to mix things up. It's also a mental reprieve for us. Doing true crime every single day and nothing else has made, it's a little taxing after a while, especially when you're trying to come up with something new to talk about every single day. So in addition to the fact that we're going to try to cover other cases, and we're going to look into that Texas case that somebody talked about. We're going to look into Luigi Mangioni's case coming up. We're going to look into the Delphi case going back for reappeal. We got our eyes on a bunch of cases and new ones, again, the Maletti case, possibly the hookers trial. Remember the guy that took his wife out, the sailing hookers, right. And whether or not he murdered his wife. We got our eyes on that. We got our eyes on a lot of cases. Anyways, so we're not going anywhere. We're just going to drop Monday night for now. Please go check out the new channel, The Devil's Advocates Beyond. If you like any of those kind of strange, weird, paranormal, ancient aliens, consciousness, paranormal, if you have kind of a curiosity in that, I still do it kind of a receipt-driven kind of thing. So I like to ask questions and look at the science and anecdotal stories and kind of put it all together for you. So if you like that kind of stuff, check that out. Make sure you check out that alternate channel. So next Monday, we will not be here at Crimes After Dark. Also, a quick announcement we didn't talk about real heavily is JJ from State of the Deep will only be on with us on Friday nights now. JJ's has had the plans for quite a while to get his State of the Deep up and running. He is now getting that channel up and running. We just helped him yesterday. No, was it today or yet? Shit blends together. I helped him just recently in the last 24 hours, I think, get set up so that he can stream because he had a mistake last time. He misfired on doing his first live. We got it worked out so he can do his first live. JJ is going to take more time to focus on his own channel and getting that up and running. So we're going to only bring him on Friday nights. It'll be part of that Friday night fuckery. So you get to hear JJ and his concepts about whether or not co-burgers are fed or working with the feds, that'll be a Friday night fuckery kind of thing. But other nights, we're not going to have him on as much. So if you want to follow JJ State of the Deep, make sure you do that as well. Lots of changes, but we are not going anywhere. We're just kind of mixing things up a little bit. Go ahead, Robin.
Yeah.
Remind them what we're doing on Mondays over on the Beyond channel.
Yeah, please. I meant to do this on the trailer, and I cut it off the trailer a little bit early. Monday nights, we're going to try something interesting on the new channel at the same time as this show. So Monday Night Beyond channel, we're going to cover movies that have deeper philosophical, spiritual questions. Like we're going to cover the first movie is The Matrix. So what we want you to do, and we're going to announce it over there, is very, very early, is go watch The Matrix. Go rent it, or if you don't own it on your shelf and DVD already, go find it. It's an old movie. Go back and rewatch The Matrix. And we're going to talk about chasing the white rabbit. We're going to talk about the red, the blue pill, about whether or not you wake up into a dream or you continue to leave your little boring life and pretend that you don't want to know what's on the other side of the rabbit hole. We're going to talk about the deeper philosophical meanings, the spiritual meanings behind the movie, what the directors were thinking, what they were trying to show, why Buddhists call it a Dharma movie, all that kind of shit. And every single Monday, we're going to do Monday Night Madness, and we'll cover movies like Inception, maybe The Exorcist. We'll talk about how that ties into paranormal beliefs and all that kind of stuff. So if you dig that kind of stuff and you want to break on Monday nights from the true crime, that's our way of getting a mental break. So hope you'll join us over there. Thank you, Kathy, for coming on to the show tonight.
Pleasure. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
pleasure. Bye, everybody.
All right, take it easy. And everybody as well, thank you for coming and supporting us tonight with donations and new members. Again, we will see you tomorrow night right here again
Yes.
for Crimes After Dark at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as always, 8 p.m. Eastern. But consider us looking. We're going to be talking about more and more cases. So watch out again for tomorrow morning. I've got a Nancy Guthrie case. It does tie into Idaho 4, believe it or not. There they mention. Look, a former FBI a special agent actually says it's like Brian Koberger. We mentioned that in this video I cover tomorrow. So they can't not talk about Idaho 4. All right. Thank you, panelists. See you guys all later.
Good night.
Good night, guys.